Today, I want to explore something that affects every single one of us, yet almost no one talks about it. It's a blind spot in healthcare, so yet large, yet it shapes how we age, how we move, and how long we stay independent. And the strange part is, it's not hidden. It's right there in front of us. It's the musculoskeletal system. The system that lets you stand, walk, lift, carry, get off the floor, and live your life. And yet, in GP clinics, it's the only major system with no standardized tests. Let's start with what GPs can measure, because they can measure almost everything. For the cardiovascular system, they've got blood pressure, ECGs, cholesterol panels. For the endocrine system, they've got HbA1c, thyroid function tests, and hormone panels. For the respiratory system, they've got peak flow and oxygen saturation. For the digestive system, they've got liver function tests. For the urinary system, kidney function tests. And for the immune system, there's full blood counts and inflammatory markers. So every major system has objective, validated, repeatable tests, except one. When it comes to the musculoskeletal system, your muscles, your bones, your tendons, and your ligaments, GPs have almost nothing. No standardized test to guide you through life. No mobility test to ensure you don't become immobile. No balance test to ensure you're not at a risk of having a fall. No functional capacity test to ensure you remain physically capable. Nothing that gives a clear baseline or tracks change over time. Instead, they're left with questions like, how active are you? Do you have any pain? Can you bend forward for me? These questions are subjective. They depend on memory, confidence, personality, and pain tolerance. They tell us almost nothing about your actual physical capability. And that's a problem, because musculoskeletal decline is one of the strongest predictors of falls, loss of independence, and long-term health costs. Excuse me. We can measure disease extremely well, but we can't measure capability at all. Here's why this gap matters. Most people don't lose independence because of heart disease. They don't lose independence because of diabetes. And they certainly don't lose independence because of high cholesterol. They lose independence because they can't get off the floor, because they can't bend their hips and knees, and because they can't reach their arms up overhead. And it's because they can't step, balance, or just lift their own body weight. Musculoskeletal decline is the quiet force behind aging. It's the thing that determines whether you can live independently, whether you can travel, whether you can play with your kids or your grandkids, and whether you can stay confident in your own body. And yet, currently we don't measure it, not in any consistent, universal, or meaningful way. This is exactly why I created the 18 standards. The standards give GPs and the general public something they'd never had before. A simple, safe, objective way to measure musculoskeletal capability. Each standard has a clear pass or fail, a defined load, and a defined range. And they're designed for real people, not athletes, although it will help them. They're designed for every adult who wants to gain the knowledge of what their body requires to do general life. They're designed for every adult who wants to understand how their body works. And they are designed for every adult who wants to stay physically capable for as long as possible. The standards don't diagnose disease. They measure capability. They help you understand what your body needs to be able to do to complete general life tasks. And that's the missing half of healthcare. For the first time, you and GPs can have the musculoskeletal equivalent of blood pressure or HbA1c, a quick universal baseline, a way to identify risk early, a way to track change over time, a way to give people a clear starting point and a clear path forward. Instead of saying you should be more active, people can say, oh, you passed 12 of the 18 standards. Here are the next 2 to work on. Instead of guessing, you can measure. And instead of just accepting and planning for physical decline, you can prevent it. This is the shift from treating problems to building capability. Look, we're living longer than ever, which is great, but we're not living better for longer. The gap between lifespan and health span is really widening. And musculoskeletal decline is one of the biggest drivers of that gap. If we want people to stay independent, confident, and capable, we need a way to measure the thing that actually determines independence. It determines confidence and it determines capability. And that's what the 18 standards do. They give you a language, they give you a baseline, they give you a roadmap. You no longer have to exercise and hope that you're doing the right things to live well. Now you can begin to exercise knowing that you're just simply doing enough to live physically well throughout your life. The musculoskeletal system requires input from you so it can adapt. That's why it's called training. You're teaching your body how to move. You are teaching your bones and muscles load tolerance. And all you need to be is enough. Not extremely strong, not ripped and athletic, just enough so that your physical ability does not limit your life. I'll say that again. Just enough that your physical ability does not limit your life. I'm sure you know someone who has lost experiences in their life due to losing their physical independence. And most of the time, this is preventable. But until now, no one has provided that guidance. So when we talk about the missing musculoskeletal test in GP practice, we're not talking about a small oversight. We're talking about a fundamental gap in how we understand human health. The 18 standards don't replace medical tests. They complete the whole picture. They measure the part of health that medicine has never standardized. The part that determines how you move, how you age, and how you live. And if we can measure capability, we can improve it. If we can improve it, we can change the trajectory of someone's life. And if you head to enough.health, you'll see the 18 standards of musculoskeletal health and how they each apply to keeping your physical independence. Please share this with someone you know that may be struggling with their physical capacity. It may just help them enough. Thanks so much for listening, and for now, that's enough said.